Hey folks, today is July the 6th. It's currently 8:54 in the morning. I wanted to jump in the FX Simplifier trade room here. FX Simplifier is actually kind of a combination of all the different trade rooms. The individuals that are running the rooms for the London session, for the New York session, as well as the other trading sessions, those trades are going to be taken in the rooms and they're going to be copied into our account. So I wanted you guys to be able to see exactly kind of how they trade in the room and also how things work. I did just notice that we just got entered into a trade. I mean, literally not even 2 minutes ago. Okay, as you guys can see here, AUDNZD. Let me go ahead and jump in the room and I'll let you guys listen to what's going on.
Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
At some other ideas that are in focus. So bear with me while I get some additional watch charts on screen. Okay. So we've looked at we've been looking at the Aussie dollar, particularly in with respect to the Kiwi, AUD, NZD. That's the open trade. And in terms of some other pairs, you can see rallied strongly against the Canadian dollar. That has been the same thing with the U.S. dollar. Yesterday, very strong day against the Canadian dollar. In fact, I'm going to switch over to that for a moment because this is an OFMID FX team idea. And this was issued. It's pending. It is not filled, unfortunately. But here's a daily chart. And this is something that I was extremely keen on last week and coming into this week. I'm very frustrated that it hasn't filled. But let me back up. I've got the daily up there. Let me take a look at the. I want you all to see the larger charts of this as well. So USD, CAD. Let's bring this up on all the charts here. So what I want you to look at is the upper left-hand corner of my screen, rather. What you're going to see is the monthly chart. USD CAD, 3 months to the downside. Okay, pull back for 3 months after a very powerful trend. We saw a couple months ago this rally. This is May. Okay, May formed really, if it's not a bullish engulfing, it's very close to a bullish engulfing. Very powerful bar right off what? The 20-month average. Last month in June, really just took a break, okay, to kind of didn't make a new high, didn't make a new low, kind of consolidated. This month, so far, fairly small range, but positive so far. If you look at a more detailed chart, obviously we could look at a weekly, but what I want to do is look at a daily. So I'm going to go back to this other daily, which I have a little bit marked up. All right, and what you see on the daily, obviously, is just an X-ray of what we were looking at on a weekly, but you see a downtrend here that was broken. Okay, it was broken here. We were very focused on that at that time in May. What you've seen since is what kind of pattern formed. Anyone recognize this? You've seen slightly lower highs and slightly higher lows. And what we've got here is essentially consolidation. You have a downtrend, you have a break of that downtrend, then you have a consolidation that's been in place for really the last couple months. And shorter term from that, what you've got is a huge rally. That is something that we've seen consolidate for several days, very orderly pullback. And where did that pullback basically hold? Pretty much the middle of the accumulation candle. There's a very powerful bullish candle, accumulation candle, just meaning of huge inflows on that candle. The midpoint of those often are supports. You saw this pullback kind of stabilize around the midpoint, and yesterday, boom, rally back into USD over CAD. Today, a little bit of continuation to the upside. Originally, the entry was up in this area, and it would have triggered maybe late yesterday or today. However, I modified the entry yesterday to try to get a much better fill a little bit lower. Unfortunately, just did not fill. It was so strong. It came within 4 pips of filling, but did not fill. And this has just refused to back off very much. So very powerful chart. I wanted to go through that and the reasons for that. Hopefully that's a learning opportunity for you all. Very powerful situation in my view. Okay, so I will update if that gets closer to filling, but the price here, if you can see on the hourly, I'll just do one last chart here on USD CAD. Price is 1.2930. That is the limit price. We need to come back all the way to this dashed blue line, this horizontal blue line, and that is probably not super likely right at the moment, but I'm going to watch the trading action a little bit more today. Perhaps we see a pause over the next day or two that would not really detract, in my view, from the bullishness of this overall chart, but short might enable a fill. Most likely the entry criteria will be modified a bit, or if it keeps zooming up with no looking back, another 50 pips, 100 pips, that idea will likely get canceled. Okay, so just giving you a little bit of insight into that open trade alert idea, if you're following those. Okay. In terms of other things, I came into today's session watching, and we are 9:01 at this point now, so we're an hour in. Open trade idea up here, by the way, if you just came in and joined us. But a couple other things on my list in terms of watch ideas. US dollar SGD, USD SGD, okay, that's upper right-hand corner. That obviously is USD in the base, which generally means what? We've seen safe haven inflows, or however you want to interpret it, that's how I interpret it, into the US dollar against many currencies. And Singapore dollar also is one of those. So you saw a big rally post-Brexit in the US dollar versus Singapore dollar. You've had a pullback for several days. And Doji preceded yesterday's big advance, and today well off the highs, but where has it pulled back to? It's still up on the day, by the way, fractionally. It's essentially flat, but it's pulled back to potential support. Why is this potential support? We've got a 200-hour moving average, and that is where it is pulled back to and hanging out at the moment. So that's something we'll look at, see if it forms another bullish candle in this area. Potentially that could be a long idea. The Kiwi is weak, middle of the screen. The Kiwi is weak against the US dollar today, and certainly yesterday. Potential short setup in this area, although it's really holding and looks almost like it's going to try to rally back. However, this traditionally is a nice short setup against declining 20-hour moving average.
All right, guys, hopefully you can definitely see a difference between this trade room and some of the others that we've been in or that I've tested here. Much more professional, a lot more actual trading information. You can definitely tell that this is really geared towards a more professional audience here. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pause it. I would go ahead and just let this run, but I'm not sure how long. Let me see how long. All right, this runs into 11 a.m. and it's currently 9 o'clock. So I'm not going to let this run the full 2 hours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to come back a little bit later, and we'll continue to watch this trade here and see how things develop with it. And as you guys can see, the stop on this particular trade is about 30. Take profit is about 130. So right now we're just waiting to see what happens here. All right, I'll be back momentarily. All right, folks, just a quick update here. We just actually pushed into profit. So we'll continue watching it, and I'll continue updating you guys on what happens.
Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
I'll let you catch another 5 minutes of the
and finally broke
room.
out in June and has generally been rallying ever since, even through Brexit. Had this big high wave candle, new high, new low, all in one candle, but then just shrugged it off and basically poked to a new intraday high of just a couple days ago. So the reason you'd want to be aware of this, even if you're not a swing trader or a longer term trader at all, is that this potentially is certainly so far looks to be successfully signaling a change in sentiment in Kiwi versus Swissy. Out of this large pattern, you've broken to the upside, and you've traded pretty well ever since then. Tag, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so if you've been around in this room often, you've seen some of my comments on predominantly how I trade. I'm really big into swing, position trading, whatever you want to call it, longer term stuff, right? So days to weeks. Your risk is bigger, but at the same time, your reward's bigger. So it kind of ends up evening out to where you have about the same risk reward. And the way you can manage a longer term trade is with position sizing. Okay. So whatever size, say in the pip room, right, we're looking at things for 10 to 100 pip move. 100's really big, but like 10 to 30 is, really normal. 15 to 30, somewhere in there. But depending on the day, some days it's a lot better. Some days it's, only 10. But you're not typically looking for 100 and 200 and 300 and 400 and 1,000 pip moves, right? Because there's not enough time in a day. If you catch, if you're long or short something and then, a mega piece of news comes out, fine, maybe it happens. But in general, there's not enough time in the day for that to happen. And so it takes longer. It's also, you can manage the trades a little bit differently. But even though, like David Bush was just saying, even if you're just looking at trades that you're looking for minutes to hours long, being aware of what the dailies and the weekly charts are showing can be really, really helpful, because it can help you trade in the direction of the prevailing big trend, right? So, there's several different pairs out there you can be trading. And so if you're looking at the ones, hey, this is in a longer term uptrend, it had a big, in this case, in Kiwi Swissy, it had a big breakout, and now the trend's higher. Well, even on a 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour chart, I'd be trading to the long side on this. You're like, oh, would I have a good short setup? Well, maybe you do. But on average, I would just be looking for ones that are in strong long-term uptrends and strong long-term downtrends, and trading on a smaller time frame inside of those to that direction. Because again, what's happening here on the Kiwi Swissy, the big money has been buying Kiwi over Swissy, right? They've been buying more New Zealand Kiwi over Swiss francs. They've been buying a lot harder. They've been more aggressive. So on average, it's moving up. And so, even on a 30-minute, hour, 4-hour chart, buying moves, buying pullbacks and consolidations in that uptrend are going to be a little bit more reliable to the upside, So even for the intraday trader, it's really useful. For the longer term, again, all you need to do, say, whatever, you have a big enough account, you can kind of do whatever with, but even then you want to use position sizing. So there's a few different ways to do that. We've gone over some of them before. But basically, say, what's a good example? Okay, so on an intraday trade, we're risking 15 or 20 pips. Look at the trailer we have right now, Aussie Kiwi, right? So we're risking 21 pips. That's obviously, that's pretty low risk, right? But again, we're also probably, who knows what can happen, but we're probably not going for a 300 pip gain, right? We'll probably, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pip gain would be more normal for this time frame of a thing. But on a longer term trade, you might have to risk 100, 200, 300 pips, but that's only if you're seeing a reward that's multiples of that, right? Because otherwise your risk reward is skewed in the wrong direction. We want it skewed in the right. But so then all you need to do is you lower your position size. So if normally you would trade, whatever, every platform seems to have different terminology. But if normally you trade, say 10 lots, well, maybe you're only trading 2 lots or something like that, right? Something that's kind of the equal to it. That way you're not actually risking more. You're just taking advantage of a different setup. I'm going to have to make a little presentation on that because I'm not sure how clear that was. But basically what you're doing is if you have to risk more, you can make it so you're not risking more, right? So if a pip turns on the chart, you're risking, say, 150 pips. Well, 150 pips times X lots is going to be, X amount of pips. Whereas if you just lower your lot size, you can make it so it's the same pip risk or same dollar risk to you. So again, I'll make a presentation on that because I think I was a little bit convoluted in my explanation. But still being aware of the longer term trends is really useful even on an intraday basis, because on average it's putting you in the, you're getting on the big wave and then finding pullbacks and consolidations within that. That's exactly what we do, right? So in the room, you look at what we were looking at on the Aussie Kiwi, right? So that's our current trade alert that's outstanding and it's open, right? With that, so it had a super low volatility move.
All right, guys, as you guys can see, lots of good information so far in a great trade here. Things are looking really good. Going to continue to watch this. I am going to try to keep this under 20 minutes, so I'm going to pause it again, and I might have to run it past 20 minutes, mainly because the trade room stays open until 11, and I don't know when they're going to close this trade out. It might even go beyond the time that they're in the room, so we'll just see what happens here. I'll be back with you guys momentarily.
Oops, I just sent it the question box. Forget. Okay, I think I just posted that to the wrong area. So, bear with me a moment.
All right, he's talking about this trade now. We'll see what he's going to do.
AUD NCD going to look to exit this area. Okay, currently trading as per TradeStation charts about 1.0522 or 23 a moment ago. Just this area, obviously, trade as you see fit. This is just guidelines here, but this has rallied fairly respectably. I think there could definitely be more in this. Let me say that again. There potentially could be more in this. However, officially, we'll look to exit in this area. Had a nice rally up from entry, and naturally fills will differ and so forth. But from our idealized entry up nicely, from the fill entry up decently, and we'll count this as closed in this area. So I'm going to put that also on screen.
All right, I just heard it go through on his end. You heard that little pop on his end, and then you saw it exit on my end as well. So just about instantaneously. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here so you guys can see in the account history.
Okay, so folks, I'm just putting, again, what I posted in chat up here in this document on screen. So it's a little bit easier to read. I know some of you have, mobile. It's a little bit tougher to see the chat portion. Go to webinar. It's a little challenging, I think, sometimes to see the chat portion. So we.
All right, let's take a look here. I'm pretty sure this is the trade right here. As you can see, 2.18 lot size. Made $145.78. As you can see right now, our profit is $1,189.51. Anyway, guys, I basically wanted to give you a really good feel for how things work in the trade room. Again, the professionalism in this room, as opposed to others, is night and day. Okay, it's just night and day. If you guys haven't yet, definitely click the link below to get more information on the FX Simplifier software. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them my way, and I'll get them answered as soon as possible. I won't be doing this on a daily basis. Maybe I'll try to do this once a week so everybody can see what's going on in the trade room. But again, this will not be daily. If you choose to, you can definitely attend the trade rooms if you want and learn how they're trading. Listen to them ask questions. You can ask questions right here. As you can see, they put in the information that they're doing in the room in here. All right, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, folks. Nice winning.